all the members have joined us. Are we still waiting for anyone, Shumis? Who is not here? Oh, Member America is not here. Join us as he comes in. I'm going to welcome everyone that has joined us and also in allowing us to engage with them here, but it will be comfortable if you can get the mayor. I just want to find out that with the connection, the visual plus the mic, is it going to work well? Okay, thank you very much. So it will be nice if the mayor can welcome us before we start so that we can feel free to engage for the whole day today. So welcome, Mister. I'm going to hand over to you.
May I take this opportunity to present the first greeting. Thank you very much and welcome to Plettenberg Bay.
Chairperson, we can't hear anything.
Also, visually, we are in a hybrid. We have to make sure that everyone that is part of this meeting can hear us. Can you hold this so that they can see you and hear you because you are visual? I think you can continue so that we can.
The chairperson has allowed me. The chairperson has allowed me to continue.
Switch off the mic.
Let's say no here.
Is everybody able to hear?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Jones.
So everybody can hear me now.
Affirmative.
All right. I think
Okay, can we try to mute, make sure that you mute your speakers, your computers, whether visual or in the chambers? Just mute so that we can get ways.
Councillor Nell, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly, Mayor.
Thank you very much. We're back. I was welcoming the members of the parliament. I also want to welcome the councillors of Bitou Municipality. Next to me, I've got the deputy mayor and the rest of the municipal officials. Councillor Swartz is also present here. I wouldn't waste much of the time because this technology is a bit bothering. I will hand over to you, Chairperson. Maybe you might manage it better.
Thank you very much. And again, we really appreciate you having us today in this engagement. Just before the ground rules, I'm going to allow members to introduce themselves. And my name is Matlodi Maseko, and I'm the Standing Committee Chair for Human Settlements in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. And I am with my right-hand man, the lady that I cannot survive without in this standing committee, Shumis Jones, which is our procedural officer. So we'll take it from the left as the members, they introduce themselves so that we can know each other. Then after, we will get the councillors that are around here with us and the representative from the Department of Human Settlement in the province. What is happening again now? So over to you, Member Maran.
Mike, can they hear me? Okay. Mornings, Chair. Mornings, Mayor. Mornings, everyone present. My name is Pat. My surname is Maran. I'm an alternate member of this committee. Thanks.
Good morning, Chair. Brett Heron, member of the committee.
Hi, good morning, Chair. Good morning, everybody. My name is Derek America. I'm the member of the committee.
Good morning, Chair. Danville Smith. I am an alternate member of this committee. Thank you.
Morning, Chair. We seem to have missed me here. My name is Dave Swart. I'm Ward 2 Councillor in Bitou Municipality.
Andile Namtu, Communications, Bitou Municipality.
Mfundo Taliwe, Department of Human Settlement.
Good morning, Chair, Mayor, members. I'm Pila Maesela from the Provincial Department of Human Settlements.
Good morning, Chair, and everybody that is here. My name is Andy Lelili, the member of the Standing Committee for Human Settlement.
Morning, Chair. Morning, Mayor. Ntoma Reddy, Bitou Municipality.
Morning, Chair. Mpumleli Kyushu, Bitou Municipality.
Morning, Chair. Morning, all. Furlan Steerman, Bitou Municipality PMU unit.
Good morning, everyone. Ms. Swimpatla, Bitou Municipality.
Good morning, Tozamira Sompani, Bitou Municipality Community Services. Thanks.
Good morning, Charles Lowe from the Department of Human Settlements.
Good morning, my name is Akona from Bitou Municipality. My name is Akona Nooloza from Bitou Municipality.
From the IT department.
Morning, everybody. I'm Sanso Kapai, the Deputy Executive Mayor, Bitou.
I want to find out online if the department, the National Department of Human Settlements, do we have representatives that can introduce themselves, or the members that are joining us virtual?
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to the members of the committee, the mayor, the deputy mayor, councillors, colleagues. My name is Joseph Leshabani. I am the deputy settlements. I'm responsible for programs and project management in the national department. Madam Chair, to save you time, I am accompanied by 6 other officials. Mohapili Losa, as Sanjay Agun, Tabang Muji, Sulufelang, as well as Etha. Thank you.
Thank you very much and welcome. Member, can you introduce yourself?
Good morning, honorable members, officials, councillors there in Bitou. My name is Andrikus van der Westhuizen, and I'm also a member of the Standing Committee on Human Settlements for the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. And thank you very much for allowing me to join in this way.
Thank you very much, member. And what is important is so that we don't struggle a lot, the videos have to be off from all that are participants there. And we are not going to experience any pressure for our systems. I'm not going to waste any time. We have to start with the.
Can I just ask, it's not clear, are we joining on Teams? And if so, is there internet connection here?
Okay, let's get that in order. Shimiz, what are the, or who's going to? Okay. Okay, so we have to tell the members how to do it so that you can. So for us to cut using a lot of time, you can give the members the instructions what to do, and then they will connect at the same time. Then we'll be done within few minutes. Is it okay if we do it that way? Yes. Okay, all members, can we connect? Can we get the instructions also from the councillors that are here? Because I suspect we have to log in, all of us around here, for the ease of doing things.
No, Chair, I think the reason why the Honourable Brett is asking, when I have to introduce myself, I have to do it through the mic and not through the speaker. Pardon? It's an IT thing.
Okay, I need to apologize for that. I thought that if we are here, the mics will be the ones that we use without us depending totally on the teams. So it seems we have to depend on the teams. Do us a favor, tell us what to do so that we can quickly do that. I wish I could hear you.
We'll come to each one of you guys to just add you guys to the wireless. So I'll just pop around everybody that has been.
Okay, we'll do that. In the meantime, I think the first presentation is going to be from Bitou Municipality. So whoever is going to do, I don't know who's going to do the presentation, and if he or she is connected, she can start. This is the one. Okay, I'm sorry, I think it is Mr. Tozamile Sompani, Director of Community Services, the one who's going to lead us with the presentation from the Bitou Municipality. So are you connected? You are?
No, I'm connected. Let's check.
Oh, you're connected, so you are okay from there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Chair, good morning, everybody. All protocol observed. We've been having bilaterals with national department regarding that are stored at the airport, and we're given 4 items to talk on. That the brief background and emergency houses, and the fact after there will be a walkabout. But Chair, this whole story started in the 18th of May 2018. There was a series of protests around Kurland, Kolwit, Konotula, Krasuk, and all these protests were closing into house demanding of houses. And the fire break took place on that era, which no one knows what was the source of funding, but 71 houses from all those informal areas that are mentioned on the screen. Next slide. The municipality, because it didn't have to request funding from the province and the national department response under the emergency grant funding, and a business plan was submitted. Subsequent to that application, next slide, please. I'm talking to the presentation, I'm not reading. Okay. Subsequent to that, National Department responded by sending a letter which was received on the 3rd of October, and with the amount that were allocated was 3.988 and 200. Those are the funding model would find to us. That funding we had conditions. One of the conditions that funding was just 2 months. We received a letter confirming and we started implementing entering into procurement processes. And the company was appointed supporting what is outlined there. What I want to bring to your attention, the company that we appointed, because of the time frame, we couldn't embark on the procurement processes according to the policy. So the deviation, which was the suitable option at the time. Then to construct fireproof houses as per the numbers that I got. Then that was achieved. I think that we couldn't the relocation houses. So the relocation cost was not incurred or spent. I will explain in the next slide. The next slide. Then this slide explains the emergency housing grant approval, which I've already alluded to. And that was on in November. And then there was a letter received from the National Department. The Minister of Human Settlement, India at the time, and Mr. SCOHS, Deputy Minister, they visited the area, and Mr. Matikizela, they did a walkabout on the area. And approved the amount of money which was requested, and Mr. SCOHS, Deputy Minister Mr. SCOHS, donated a piece of land 562 because
there is no sound at present. No sound. There is no sound. Is absolutely no sound, not receiving any sound.
I believe the internet connection from Bitou must have been dropped.
Thank you for that.
I did inform Ms. Jones of this, so hopefully they will work on it. I think the fact that the number of people have now joined that same internet connection may have overburdened it.
Yeah, quite possibly the band has been overused.
And I do apologize, comes with the ups and downs. We have to work with it until we fake it until we make it. Over to you, Sen.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I was on this slide, which depict the challenges in terms of human settlement programs. Those are highlighted, it's self-explanatory, I've already spoken them. Land availability is a problem. F562, which we need to build as soon as possible to decant the 728 people, but the problem is feasibility study. Also, the bridging finance sometimes haunts us. COVID-19 is also impacted negatively. Then there's a backlog of 15,000 and a catalyst project that has been delaying. Those are the challenges that we're facing. Can you go to the next slide, Icona? These are the programs that are planned for future purposes. They are self-explanatory. Yes, unless you want me to read them. These are what we will present to province and national province human settlements. Next slide, okay. Council took a decision to say those structures that are have to be donated to those areas. We approved that Kirland, they received 17 units, Green Valley, 26 units, New Horizon, 9 units, Kranshoek, 16 units, Conoctula. Next slide. Before, thank you, Chairperson. The problem that we're going to face here, like the area at the Green Valley, the problem of service infrastructure, the services, water, and that has to be taken into cognizance when we deal with this. And most of
I've got the instruction here that I need to ask those present in Bitou to log out of the Wi-Fi for other internet usage connections. Wi-Fi, just log out. There's the IT instructions. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. Continue. And I send off Elric van Aswegen.
Yes, Chair. Thank you very much again. Apologies. Promise I cannot see the audio. But the slide, I can't see the slide.
You cannot see the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
I do apologize for that because we are already on the thank you slide. For how long were you not seeing the slides?
Ma'am, basically for the whole duration, just not the handbag, audio problem and the slide went missing. And so then we didn't see anything. But it's fine, you can continue.
Okay. So the IT is saying that when we started, you wouldn't have been having their problems now because they picked up that those who were trying after, everyone was allowed to log in, are the ones that are having the problems now. On the files, on the teams that are there, the documents that are there.
No, unfortunately not, ma'am. But I think you should just continue.
Okay, what we are going to do, we are going to ask IT to load the presentation in the chat box, and then you can access all the slides from there. Is it okay with that? Can you be okay doing that?
It's fine.
Okay, thank you very much, Sen.
Last point, Chair.
Yeah.
Those material, they want to be delivered to those areas as indicated on the slide. We are in the process of negotiating with the service provider to start immediately with the assembling, excavation, earthworks, and delivery, transportation and relocation of the families to those areas. But as I was saying, the only challenge we're going to face, the challenges that we're going to face in some of the areas, it's infrastructures, the water, the sanitation, the electricity. The municipality have to look at that, and province will knock at your door attending to those problems. Thank you, Chair. That's the end. Akona, you can bring the thank you slide. I gave.
Okay, thank you very much. That was rough for us. I think the members also, it's a bit rough for them to follow with their presentation, but I think as we get the slides loaded on the site, it will be easier for them to use as we do the questions. And then we are going to continue. I'm going to ask that we continue with the presentations, and then after that we can engage in the questions. Member Smith?
Chair, may I ask that, I know we are pressed for time, but I think it's also just fair and would do justice to members and even officers at home join to be fully in this meeting without disruptions. I understand the issue of time, but I think we all would agree that we allow IT, both this side and whoever is dealing with this connection thing, to fully sort this out and give them perhaps 15 or 10, 15 minutes, and just to give justification to the meeting, to the information, the members and those from the departments present. I think it's a fair, reasonable request for us to consider, understanding that we are totally pressed with time. Thank you, Chair. That's my plea.
Thank you very much, member. I think we are going to have teething problems as we go on. It's the first time something like this has been done. So the IT also, they are trying to mitigate to make sure that they perfect it. It's not going to be a very beautiful. Next time when another standing committee tried to do this, they have been identified where is the loopholes for them. With us that we will have to go on. So even on the question times, if we get the questions that a person is trying to take us back where we started, we'll accept that because we do understand that we had the glitches as we were trying to do the presentation. Everyone that is around here it will be acceptable to them day to day. So we have to accommodate those also loopholes that are there to what they do best as we continue from our side with the meeting. Okay, thank you very much. So we are going to take the next presentation from the national. I don't know, Mr. Shangase, who's going to do the presentation? Is it Mr. Lindile Pechuna?
If it's the National Department Chairperson, I will do the presentation.
Over to you, sir.
I repeat, Chairperson, my name remains Joseph Leshabane. I will load the presentation. Can the members confirm, Chairperson, if you see the presentation?
Not yet.
We are not visible. Any presentation yet. If I can ask you, Mr. Leshabane, do you have it? Did you load it on your files there that you can share from your side?
I am sure, Chairperson, we can do so, Chairperson.
I think it will be quicker so that you can be in control rather than this side.
That's in order, Chairperson. Solofelang, Tabang Muji, anyone can load the presentation, they have it, but we'll also do what we need to do, Chair, as you direct. Let me get that sorted.
It seems it's sorted out this side, Mr. Leshabane. Let me allow the IT from this side to do it quickly. Can you do that?
No, we didn't get it.
You didn't get the presentation. Oh, okay.
Are you winning, Mr. Lishavani?
Madam Chair, I am. There we go. It's on the screen, Madam
Oh,
Chair.
there we go. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Sulu Felang. If you can do slideshow. Thank you, Chairperson. I'll be brief on this. Let me, next slide, Sulu. Chair, what we'll do, we will assist the committee. Sorry, Sulu, you moved too fast, one back. We will assist the committee chair by clarifying what this emergency housing grant is and its purpose, the applicable norms and standards, as well as the case in respect of Bitou Municipality. I think the details you already have, and the related matters. I'm talking here in respect and the challenges that they've reported and so forth. Next slide. Chairperson, the emergency housing grant is administered by the National Department, which transfers it. It's in terms of within DORA, it's a Schedule 7. 7A part of the grant is accessed by provinces. The 7B is accessed by municipalities. Of course, Chair, you may or may not be aware, this grant was introduced in 2018. As fate would have it, Chair, the introduction of the grant was inspired by and adopted by MINMEC during 2017. If you recall, there were devastating fires in the Southern Cape. And when MINMEC tried to pull together funds to respond, it proved difficult because all the provinces, even though they were happy to relinquish some of their grants, it couldn't be done at the time. Hence, MINMEC agreed to establish this grant. Next slide. Now, what is the purpose of this grant, Chairperson? It is to provide funding to provinces and municipalities to provide temporary housing, whether in terms of temporary residential areas or temporary residential units. This funding also allows for the relocation of affected households and the repairs to damaged houses due to disasters. Of course, Chairperson, the disaster incidents, we've seen houses being damaged, whether these incidents are natural or human caused. We've seen storms, we've seen floods, fires, sometimes unstable geotechnical ground conditions, and so many other matters. And Chairperson, that may also include violence, public violence, and so forth. Chair, just so that the committee has a full view, we thought we will also draw your attention to the fact that there are applicable norms and standards for these shelters. The more details are contained in the housing code, but in a nutshell, Chair, you are allowed to provide a shelter of at least 24 square meters. It may go up to 30 square meters, simply because there's flexibility allowed here. Also, Chair, the shelter that is offered must be appropriate for specific environment. You would appreciate, Chair, that South Africa has varied climate zones. If you are in the northern Cape somewhere, it's very hot and dry. If you happen to be in KZN, in KwaDukuza, it's very humid. Similarly, you will find different conditions in the Southern Cape. So hence the flexibility that's allowed. The technical specifications, Chairperson, are prescribed, and municipalities and provinces have discretion within those technical norms and standards. Chair, I want to confirm that the grant is offered to provinces, to municipalities, on condition that those minimum norms and technical specifications are adhered to. The more details are contained in the housing code. Next slide. Chair, in the case of the municipality, I think the background has been given that Given the fires in 2018, a number of households in informal settlements. I won't get into those details. That detail has been provided, Chair. Next slide. You will see the aftermath there. And when we did the verification inspection, which is mandatory for us before we consider the applications, this is what we found on the ground, Chairperson. The municipality was also busy clearing the fire damage. Next slide. To access this grant, the department approved the allocation to the municipality in the order of 3.9 million rands. What then remains for the National Department, Chairperson, or maybe I must approval, the National Department informs National Treasury, which then transfers the funds. We also inform the National Disaster Management Center, the Provincial Disaster Management Center, as well as the Provincial Department of Human Settlements, just so that we streamline all our response to this particular case. Chair, the department then undertakes periodic monitoring and verification of implementation. The municipality reports, but we dispatch a team to inspect, to monitor and verify whatever is reported. That's how we are very much familiar with what transpired here. Next slide. Chairperson, as per the earlier presentation, the municipality did procure materials for the 69 temporary residential units. I'm sure in your later inspection, you will see these materials. Next slide. They are currently in storage. I think I don't want to preempt what you will see, but that's what our inspections revealed, Chairperson. Next slide. Chair, I think it is a fact that is known that while the municipality went down the line to procure those units, the municipality then met with serious community complications. And I'm saying complications because at the time of applying, the municipality submitted to us the consultations they've undertaken with the community, but also the list, the names of households that were to be assisted. That's why we can then reconcile the numbers in that sense. But once the units were procured, the community was divided. There were a number of issues, contestations and conflicts. Identification of new beneficiaries became an issue. The households that were previously affected by fires now came forward to say, but why is it that you are assisting these ones with the recent fire, but we are still waiting? So there were those sort of complications, Chair. I do submit, Chairperson, that in interacting with the municipality, it became clear that the municipality needed to put in place an alternative plan because the units are already procured, they are delivered. You would have heard earlier, Chairperson, that proposal, which we support, Chairperson. Bills are there. If they are needy households, let them be assisted. Chair, I won't get into the details because the municipality has ably reported on what is entailed in that plan, which was endorsed by council. Chairperson, I will end my presentation here. Next slide, Sulu. Indeed, the next slide, Chairperson, we were anticipating that the municipality's presentation would follow this, but it has already been delivered. Chairperson, at your pleasure, we stand ready to respond, to clarify any further matters in this regard. I do thank you, Chairperson, and the members of your committee for inviting us to clarify these matters. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Could it be that we've lost the chairperson again? Member van der Westhuizen?
It seems as if the connection to Bitou is again down.
I can confirm the connection seems to be down on my side as well.
But
Okay.
They're back on?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to hand over to the Department of Settlement Provincial if there's anything, comment or anything before we start with the questions.
Thank you, Chairperson. I don't think the department has got anything further to add. Yeah, I think it's been covered by both the municipality and the national department.
Thank you very much. And again, to all the presenters, thanks, even if we had at least, but we are maneuvering to make sure that we do cover. So bear with us as we ask the questions and as the information, but because of the IT challenges, we didn't see that information. I'm going to open up for the members for the questions. Is there any question? Okay, I'm going to start from you, Member Heron.
Thank you, Chair. Must I switch this? I don't know what to switch on.
Yeah, sorry, Member Heron. The IT, if he talks, he needs to switch on the mic or he needs to use the laptop.
Chair van der Westhuizen, I can just confirm that we heard him quite well.
Member van der Westhuizen, you have a hand that you can use. Please try to control yourself in just switching on the mic. Over to you, Member
Thank you, Chair. Can I pose questions to both Bitou and National all in one? How do you want to do it?
Yes, you just have to give direction. This question is for which department?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to both Bitou and the National Department for the presentations. So my questions to Bitou really start with the allocation of the 3.9 million rand as an emergency grant funding. Was there a tender already in place to procure that material, or did you have to go out? And how did you procure that material so quickly? I noticed that the allocation was 57,000 rand per unit. Is that the emergency funding grant allocation per emergency unit, or was that a special arrangement for this particular event? Because I noticed in a later slide you have temporary relocation units at 45,000 rand a unit. So I'm just trying to understand why there's a difference in the value of the units. You spoke about an earth being donated. I assume that was an earth that was allocated or released to the municipality for a TRA. So how many relocations were intended to take place to that earth that was donated? The last question that I have for Bitou is what has happened to the initial beneficiaries or families that were looking for that emergency accommodation? Because you're now reallocating the material to other families. So where are those families that were the initial beneficiaries? And then if I may ask the National Department, in terms of this emergency grant, which you say came in 2018, and I do remember that MINMEC, which I think actually took place here in Knysna, I think I attended it. Was that the first introduction of any benefit or relief for families who faced an emergency situation or circumstance? And what is the current position with emergency funding? Is it allocated when there's an emergency, or is it allocated, as you indicated, as part of the DORA? Because we have in the city of Cape Town, the city advertised in the media through an advert that they could no longer provide emergency solutions, because can we try and understand what the situation is generally with the emergency and why Cape Town is saying that they can no longer respond to incidents like fires, etc. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Member America?
Yes, my question is, and I don't really fully understand the current status of the project, and I want to latch on to what Honorable Heron was saying, is that what is the status of those families that were initially identified to be the beneficiaries of the project? Where are they now, and have any meaningful engagement taken place with those families? And I understand also the initial objection was some of the structures were too big, and that fewer families will benefit. What is the status around that? Because I didn't get a clear indication of exactly where we are now with those initial families that were earmarked for the project, and because I think those families of recurring fires that occurred in their environment, have alternate land been sort of identified to relocate them? I just want to get a sense of with those injuries, and whether they have been sort of, their needs have in subsequent. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Member Lily? Member Maran?
Thanks, Chairperson. Let me start off where the Honourable America stopped, because we know that there was these fires in Knysna, but we also know there was this specific area where 40-something sects burned down, and I think this conversation is about that particular issue. And Deputy Minister SCOHS, I remember, was, and he's still the Deputy Minister of Rural Development and Land Reform, basically. And there was this piece of land that belongs to rural development. And I think part of the discussions that took place at that particular time was saying, look, this space is not enough to build these structures for the family that's been affected. Here's land that belongs to the Department of Rural Development. Can we get it? Now we know the talks between municipality and the national department, and maybe how long it took for those particular land to be actually in the hands of the municipality. And I think at some stage, when the presenter said that the size of the houses, and where there were normally 3 sects on the plot, 1 house will be built, and families were not happy. And at some stage, it was saying, took us all to those pieces of land, the new ones. But the argument was that those pieces of land is not serviced yet, and therefore we can't take those particular families to those pieces of land. All right? But my understanding, the structures were built and what happened to those structures. But also I like to understand basically the piece of land that's been handed over by the Department of Rural Development. Is it actually handed over? Is it in the hands of the municipality? And could they make work of it? Basically, to put the infrastructure, the EIAs, the infrastructure, and all of those, to make sure all the initial affected families are catered with, whether on the smaller piece of land where the sects were, but also on the other piece of land that's been handed over by the Department of Rural Development. We like to understand. We also understand the grant that you have received. It's conditional, but we also would like to understand from the municipality side, because it's within your municipality. What have you done? Have you also allocated money's budget to make sure of those the promises that's been made to those people? Thanks.
I think from my side, it will be a question to the national department, because I tend to believe that if you are going to allocate the grant for doing things, now what was the attachment to a piece of land that could have been used for the municipality to extend those structures you have? why they didn't do the abnormality of making sure the transfer happens quicker for the municipality to be able to use that material. Did they get a request from the municipality for that the same time or not? And if they did get it, what are they to be able to release the piece of land to this municipality? Because it's not only this municipality, it's one of those things that we get as we go to different municipalities, that transferring a land parcel from the national department to the municipalities takes longer than the municipalities can anticipate. And sometimes it kills the project, and the municipality, because they are on the ground, are the ones that end up being blamed. So if I can understand that, under emergencies, what does the national department, how do they, within the intergovernmental relations, how do they handle issues like that? That will be the last question for now, before I take the second round. I don't know, the municipality is going to be the first one, and after we'll hand over to the national, and if maybe the province will want to chip in, it will do that. Welcome, Mr.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you very much for the questions as well. I think, Chairperson, your presence here will help us a lot. Remember, this matter was an unplanned incident. I don't want these fires to be confused with those Knysna Plettenberg Bay big fires. These fires that we're talking about, it's fires that are happening in the informal area of Ezakwini. They call the pigsty there in Cracks. That area was burning for the third time. The first time there were about 15 shacks that were burned. The second time it was about 30 something. And then this was the biggest in that area. It was during the time of the unrest. As a result, many people started to say maybe there is a third force here. Whilst we were busy with those ones that burnt in Cracks, the area in Kolweni also got burnt, shacks there. The old shacks in Kolweni as well, they were not burning for the first time. That area was burning for the second time at that time. It has now, whilst this material was provided already, it burned for the third time again. The municipality has got a policy to assist the people in the informal areas if their shacks or houses have been burnt down. We do budget for that. What happened during that year, because there were so many fires, the big fires and all of that, there was still a backlog from the winds that was there. So the budget of the municipality was slightly depleted, the budget that we use to purchase the material when there's a disasters or fires. So the ministers came at a very good time. They said, municipality, if you are confronted with budget, we can see this damage is too much. There is a funding that can help the municipality in the form of emergency fund. We said we will gladly welcome that. I think we applied, we submitted our application around May. But I think the approval was around October. So we had now to make arrangement of people to go and occupy their properties between the period of when the shacks were burned and the period when the emergency grant was approved. That happened. The only issue of public participation, you know, as municipality, even if you want to do something small, even if it's good for your communities of beneficiary, if you did not do public participation, there will be those that object to it. Unfortunately, this funding came at a very, I don't know how to put it, a volatile time in the history of the town, where we were confronted with rioters from all the community. The N2 was closed from Cracks to Hagevel, almost 18 kilometers. All the townships were closed. So that granted emergency grant came at that time. we managed, there's a question that where are those beneficiaries? Some of the beneficiaries, between the time we applied for the emergency, we looked for funding, we had to speak to the service providers, employers. They started to contribute to build material for their employees. So when we said we don't want the combustible material to be used, we are coming with this material now that is a fireproof. We want to build in those areas. They said, no, your houses are too big. The space here is too big. But there were some pockets but they said, we don't want these houses. They are too big. I think we should have, I want to be honest here, maybe if we knew, we should have actually went for a public participation process. That what size do you want? But it was, even if you say one size was not going to fit all, because one having a tavern in that big shack and one is owning a small shack. So one size fits all usually, it's always gonna be a problem in that kind of a situation. We thought that people will welcome that. Then this other proposal of another piece of land, we thought that those emergency houses will be built right where the shacks were burnt. But there was a proposal, why don't you identify another piece of land to build these houses? Don't you have nearby pieces of land that you can use? Yes, we said we do have. It's either you do an infill in between the communities or in between the houses. That process was going to cost a lot of money because you have to do a single infrastructure per each unit if you have to do infills because it's small pocket. Then we said, Deputy Minister SCOHS at that time, when they came with Mama Noma India Mfeketo, we said there is a land that was actually earmarked for that community housing development from 2007. Can you please speed up the process? They said verbally, you can use the land, we have agreed, and then the paperwork will follow. Indeed, the paperwork took longer. I was informed when I was asking now about that land that this week. That land has been given to us. We received a correspondence from National on the 21st of February this year. Only this year, on the 21st of February, that we are given now a certificate that this land is given to us. Whilst we were busy with this negotiation and the transfer, we were told that you must first, you cannot do anything there without doing your EIA permission if you want to put those houses there. Structure in that, the community was complaining about that fact as well, that there's no infrastructure there. But despite the EIA, we said, is there not a piece of legislation that can allow us at least to use that land? Because this is a land available. We were told that yes, there is a piece of legislation that you can use, but that legislation allows you in a green field or brown field to only use 1 hectare. If you want to use it for emergency or you want to build DRA, you cannot use more than 1 hectare of that land. Once you do that, you will compromise your project. Your project will be compromised to such an extent that it will not get approval from the relevant department because they will say you have impacted negatively on the environment. But if you only use 1 hectare, it won't have that kind of a negative impact and to negatively impact on your project and approvals. So we were thinking of using that 1 hectare. But you can imagine now, if you want to use that land, you don't have permission, it's not yours. You need to use that 1 hectare, you need to have infrastructure. And you must start to do this thing in a land that does not belong to you. You don't know what is going to come out and all of that, whether you will tempt approvals or not. So we will be grateful if now that we've got the land and permitted. We've got a budget that we've put aside for infrastructure development there, which was 1.5 million. But because of these delays, that budget, the officials are saying we will not be able to spend this money because we didn't get permission for and approvals. So we want to start working on that land and maybe to use some of these emergency. And yesterday I was even talking to the provincial human settlement minister. He said he will support us again if we do a TRA in that land. So if we then, the province is also supporting, it gives us now impetus that we can be able now to budget for infrastructure and use those immediate time. The province can still use the very TRA. So that's what is happening there. The material at the moment is at the airport. The beneficiaries are material, but it was the old way of doing things. We thought that they will get a nice, decent kind of a house with this emergency granting, because those that we provide as a municipality are not even near to this port. The truth of the matter, some of this material, when they were there as show houses, we started to build, I think it was 5, 7, and them were axed by the community during those riots. We were able to axe this beautiful material. Let's rather take this material into a safer place. We stored them in KwaNokuthula first. KwaNokuthula has been given houses. There's no housing problem. But that day, when they saw that material, a group went there, they said they don't want that material there. That material is going to deny them houses. And they started also to axe the material. And we said, this is too much damage. Let's take this material out in a place where it is safe, so that of piece of land to use it, we will use it. But if there are those councillors who believe that maybe during councillors will do their own public participation per ward and see the need, then we said, councillor, if in your community they allow this material to be used and certain families need them, you can indicate to us how many families need that. That's why you saw the council resolution, because we wanted also to use it. The municipality, I believe, has availed funding, because I don't think that funding was enough. We applied for 4 million and some 4.3 million, but we were given 3.9. I think the municipality also contributed a certain amount of money towards the emergency houses. I will not be able to talk on the supply chain issues. Officials will have to talk on that. On the price of the per unit, I wouldn't know, and I think sizes, I've addressed it. Indeed, people objected to those sizes. Hence, I'm saying we did not do public participation to check what size would all the communities require, because it was such a critical time in the history of the town, and it was disasters. I think a CFO and HOD, you can assist me on this administrative part and add where possible if the leadership here is not happy with my answers. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Is there anything that you want to add? Say.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Whole entire process of supply chain occurred almost on or about the festive period. And at that time, when we received an application as department, then we considered all the aspects of going to the market. But as I'm saying, in terms of our supply chain management policy, section 36(1)(5), it allows us to go into deviation when it is impractical for us to going on a normal tender process. And the reason there too was, at that time, we know most of the contractors, they are off. I think at some stage, lately, we even received a communique directly from Treasury that says no procurement should occur between the 15th and the 5th of December and 15th of Jan. So we know in most cases it's practical at that time because you will never find anyone who will want to bid. And because of the nature of the funding that was at our disposal, looking into the situation that the municipality was, we as finance department, we advised the user department that the only way for us to be in a position to expediting the fund is to deviating. So it is on that regard that the deviation process was considered. There were certain aspects that were considered, when we chose the supplier in terms of, the CIDB grading and because we didn't just take anyone. So the question of the deviation was supported by us as a finance department, and we have even issued a procurement order to the supplier or the service provider that was acquired at that time. I just wanted to include that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director, is there anything you want to add?
No, Chair, thanks. I think they've said it all.
Are we covered from the Member Heron?
Sorry, Chair, maybe I missed it, but we didn't get an explanation or understanding of the pricing of the units, where the 57,000 Rand is the actual amount allocated. Why is there 45,000 Rand for other units?
You can go on, sir. You want to respond to that? Director or Burgemeester, give direction who can answer that question.
The question is saying that it's 50,000 per unit, 57,000 per unit. And then I think National is talking about 45 or something of that nature. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Then the 57,000, I'm not sure what was the breakdown on the, because it was a conditional grant. Maybe you might be able to explain in terms of the conditional grant what exactly happened, HOT.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Maybe, sorry, before you answer, can Member Heron ask the question again so that you can get the gist of what is he asking?
Thank you, Chair. The amount allocated in this case was 57,000 Rand per unit. Later on, the director or HOD showed slides of other projects where there was emergency accommodation provided, and there were TRAs where the amount allocated was 45,000 Rand per unit. And I'm asking about the difference. 45,000 is allocated and 57,000 is allocated in this project. So the question is really, is there a fixed amount, or is there a reason for the difference in the amount?
Okay, before you come in, Mr. Lishabani, I see your hand is being raised.
Thank you.
Mr. Lishabani.
Thank you, Chairperson. I am not affording the municipality. However, there are some parts that would relate to the national policy. I thought I must assist the committee in that regard. Chair, the two questions that posed, one relates to the quantum of the, let's say, the subsidy allowable for temporary emergency housing units. Chairperson, depending on the technology that is used and its performance in line with the minimum norms and standards and the technical specifications, the maximum that is allowable, that's one part. I thought it's important. In this case, the municipality sought the 57,000 informed by what they would be intending to procure, which is better than the wooden units, which I think that's what would have been used previously. That's on the one hand. Secondly, so we approved the 57,000 as sought by the municipality. Secondly, Chairperson, and I know that's a general question, members would appreciate that all along within the national subsidy policy, there is the emergency housing assistance program that is administered or available to all provinces. And that deals with a wide range of issues that are emergency housing related. Annually, within their allocated grants, provinces would make provision for this program. Usually, provinces make this allocation to respond to known cases where there's a need for emergency housing assistance. So that is historical cases, which is fine. However, MINMEC took a view to expand on that policy, to introduce an emergency housing grant, a dedicated grant, which stands unallocated, which means whenever there's an incident, a province or a municipality can apply to get that, to access that grant, which is what happened here. Now, the further question there, the member Heron also indicates the city of Cape Town reported its inability to continue to respond because budgets were cut. Chair, I submit that the assertions by the city of Cape Town must be understood and read in the context that all budgets were cut. All grants were cut. The USDG that the city receives was reduced. The HSDG that the provinces receive was reduced. So it wasn't necessarily an isolated matter. Nationally, budgets were reprioritized in order to respond to the COVID pandemic. That being the case, Chairperson, it only meant that you could only achieve certain interventions within the resources that are available. I will leave it there, Chairperson. I hope that clarifies the matter for the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shabani. And over to you, sir. So you raise your hand.
Thank you, 7,000. From what I understand, the supply has been paid in full, and I don't know if we've got any recourse to claim back the labor and relocation costs, which he has been paid for.